Okay, we're on our way into May 8th City Council meeting. Starts at 7 p.m. And we will first go through a security screening.
And we're having a party for our lead product on Wednesday, and she sent me a picture. She's thank you. She said that she was at a 41-degree rainy baseball game. So yeah.
Awful. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It was sunny down there all week this great. Alrighty. Thanks for.
Yep.
We're recording, just so
Okay.
you know.
Yep.
I don't want to catch up unprepared.
No, you're good.
Look at your pretty face.
There you go. Somebody has to. Be careful, I might break the camera though.
No, I don't think so. There's worse going on here that'll break the camera.
How's your day been?
Oh, had a VA appointment,
Okay.
and I guess that's everything.
All right, sir.
There's a magnet in here, I'll probably set it
Good.
off.
Okay. You said there is a magnet?
Yes.
Oh, for that. I got you.
Yeah, it's just to go get it.
Got you. Go ahead and turn around for me. All right, you are good to go, sir.
Thank you. Images here. Don't disturb anybody. Hope you have a good evening
As soon as we're done here, I will.
and a safe one.
Yes, thank you.
Not a good,
I had a phone shop when I was in high school.
Sure, it's not mine. I don't know who's brought it.
They usually didn't win any. You're able to do
Right.
that stuff like that.
oh, yeah.
But I mean, I had a little bit of a.
Mr. Osborne?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, how are you?
what does she have to do?
It's supposed to come back together,
Oh,
but
really?
it's just, yeah.
Oh.
It just is taking longer.
Don't focus on me, you'll break your camera.
Rehabbing it tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. This is we get these definitely repaired.
Yeah.
Yes, very good.
She's not that old. She's,
Oh, that's
she's
true.
like, she's falling apart. She said both her knees done.
Really?
Yeah, MCL, and then just some arthroscopic
Yeah.
stuff on the other.
I'm good.
She said 3
Thank
shoulder
you.
surgeries, nerve surgery, and elbow.
I was telling somebody the other day that the reason why I do this running stuff is I've got nails in the coffin, cardiovascular lines on both sides of the family. So I said, you know, hey, the heart's going to be great. I'm going to have 2 blown out knees by the time.
Oh, you're right, well, yeah. That's, jeez, yeah.
Trade the good with the bad.
You can replace your knees though.
Okay, get Phil over here, make sure there's
might have a heart transplant or
Probably a pill or something.
Still sold when they're like twice now.
Damn, you can kill, they could fail. 10 years prior.
You never know.
Well, you know,
Some of that.
I don't actually totally understand it, but
stuff.
why
I
are
understand, but.
why are we reaching back 10 years and you're gonna remit funding fees that have been paid
The eye.
far back
I mean,
as
what
10
they do
years ago?
with your eye, like, the stuff that they've done to my
So
eye
you do?
is unreal.
How much do you make
Well, that's good.
Like, it doesn't
So
change.
what do you
They used to do everything
What
with
do you
this
have?
stuff. No.
I had one of those very frustrating
Actually,
doctor's visits.
I can see
where
your
you
shirt
go and you take a whole
pretty
bunch
well.
of tests,
So
and
the
then
blood
at the end of
is
the hour visit, they're
You
like,
can-
it's just a
you
virus,
can-
we can't help you
I
go by
peripherally, I
freezing.
can see pretty good over here.
That's,
So I was
yeah,
negative for
sounds
COVID,
like
negative for
it's
pneumonia,
really
negative for
so-
bronchitis, negative
Oh,
for
Go
wow.
back
throat.
in
My-
June
Jeez.
2nd, get more lasers.
It's rolled
and
through our
then,
Who's your eye doctor?
Jack had,
Retina Associates, nothing.
Why did I come here?
yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's exactly.
I'm already
right.
taking
Modern
this.
medicine.
Yeah.
That's why they call it practicing medicine.
But
Jack
they don't
had
want to
strep.
spend
Did you have a section?
As soon as he was off, I think it
Oh, I
was
said-
which was the weakest antibiotic. He ended up getting it again. I think his
Find it
sick for a
over
little-
the
she had a double ear infection.
Oh, really?
I had my-
After her surgery, or?
Yeah,
I mean, that's.
I had
Kid.
yeah, geez, I'm forgetting about surgery. And I had, of course, I had bronchitis, which just seems to be like the gift that keeps on giving, just the
Good eye.
coughing like crazy.
Oh, to strengthen the,
Just
yeah.
6, 8 months and then they get some stuff.
So I
He
was
still
thinking about
wears,
something. I've got a
it's
proposition.
pretty heavy.
I don't know
Yeah,
how many city employees.
Yeah, they all, and his wife is
Are,
great.
I mean, do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know the exact number, I
Okay.
couldn't
More-
sit here and.
More than 7? But, well, okay, yeah.
Would she have,
If there is anybody who is in love with the Samsung phone,
Would like to trade.
It would like to
Or
trade.
down to trade.
Pardon me?
what do you say? Oh, I'm down to
Down
trade.
to
I am
trade.
down to trade. So if somebody would like
He was in Philly, but he moved to Indianapolis.
a Samsung phone, I would happily trade. I don't even care if it's like an iPhone 6 or something like that, so.
And they lost.
We might have somebody that
Not
might take you up on that. There are a large number.
All right, well,
I
hey,
don't remember if there are people
I
who
don't
use
know a
it.
lot of abandoned.
yeah, I don't know that one, maybe it's, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, jeez.
I would work. You run across somebody.
It's
cost us business in the
past.
I don't believe that.
He was
Not in there.
What about the?
In fact, about 5 years ago, at a water board meeting, Daryl attended without having to be there, and everybody was against.
Good kid.
so,
He went down up the annexation part.
right.
Now he's done a complete flip.
From what I understand, it's against the law to use annexation.
That's not true. I checked with my attorney.
Okay, you,
He gave
Check
me a
your
court
attorney.
case,
okay.
but that's what Pat told me,
Yeah.
and I ran it by my attorney, says no. And he's a solicitor for a village,
Mm-hmm,
so he knows all about that.
okay.
I just think it's a bad thing.
Right, oh yeah, that's right, that's how you do it. You can't force them, you have to shut off.
If you don't annex, we get to shut the water off.
Yep. But I don't advocate shutting somebody's water off today, it's like that, annexing tomorrow. Not
He has quite a few pallets beside his house.
You said the zoning.
Yeah, I was gonna see if we had any.
Welcome.
Hi
this
there,
is
how
it.
are you?
Good.
Hey, Pastor.
I have to see Benny Young.
Right.
Hello?
So we have the invocation?
Yes, we'll have him and we'll do a second.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
We're always good to have a little extra.
Be great.
Long time no see.
Long time it was yesterday.
I know, since yesterday. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Yes. You're welcome to sit down, and we'll start at around 7 o'clock.
When we get to the invocation, Matt will just invite you up to the podium and you can begin.
Okay.
Quite a lady.
It was a good day yesterday.
It was wonderful.
Yes.
It was great. Yeah.
We lost another good one too last week. Mrs. Bradshaw.
Yeah, I saw that,
She was she your first grade teacher?
She wasn't mine, but she was my brother's.
Was she?
Where did she teach?
Probably Orchard Hill.
Was it Orchard Hill? Or was it Claremont? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
it was Orchard Hill.
It
She
was
had-
Orchard Hill,
she
'cause
taught
that's-
at Orchard
yeah.
Hill, and she taught for,
Yeah.
well, she lived to be like 90.
Hey, what's new with you?
You know, my first grade teacher's still alive. She's over 100.
Oh, really?
Serious?
That's
That's amazing.
Whipple Heights School.
All right.
That's cool. You're right that it was Orchard Hill. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
she
where-
was Orchard
yeah.
Hill. Then she moved to second grade, but back to first, but a lot of people had her.
Sure.
I had her back.
Gotcha.
My first grade teacher, I went to CLERK for first grade.
I'll take it off, please.
And her son had a television show on Channel 17.
Yeah.
Alfred the Alligator.
Oh, really?
Very
That's cool.
Yeah.
He became a
Right.
pharmacist.
Yeah.
That and Milk the Milkman, those are the two big, you probably don't remember.
I don't
Channel
remember that.
17, it
That's
was the big, they actually had a good news.
Was that the W?
So I had.
WJA.
Okay.
It was over across the street from St. Thomas. And they would do basketball games.
Yeah.
They had the guy who goal.
Well, the lease was up March of 2020. I didn't know if I was gonna have a job, but that's fine. So I.
You know, you only have 3, 5, and 8,
And I think
43 and
June of
61.
2020, my buddies and I were looking
Yeah.
at.
What was it, 43?
We were looking at different
43 and 49 were the same or something like that.
Cause I got a
49, well, that was PBS, well, not
And that's when
49.
I decided I Mustang was for, you know, Mustang had for the power that it had and the price that I could get it for. I'm like, well, they're more expensive up here than they were down south, so I actually went down to Tennessee. Except I didn't realize, I think I just
There were a couple of them.
lost over when I was young and I made this deal and I'm like, oh.
What a surprise.
Sure.
I was thinking I was just gonna go down the trail.
Peter Ferguson.
Yeah.
So I ended up having this fly down. And I'm also thinking, always have. I play guitar. I'll go drive by and give some back. Of course, nothing was open. But then when I got down, I was thinking, yes, I'm like, oh, this really is a long drive. So I don't even think I got off the highway when I went past the city. So I've been to
Huge,
Nashville.
big, heavy.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
Big, big
Huge. Did you see his, the people that came from?
So the first is only 22 months because it was 2 divisions respiratory.
He was close.
How many months was he off?
65.
I was gonna say it was under.
He was, I started with him at Funny. Him and pretty posh, pretty good.
Seems like a sharp guy.
Tuesday, we
Yeah.
paid the hotel we had in
Real
the
sharp.
and I didn't even know it. It was nice to get to meet some new people, but
He's a professional. So,
Yeah.
you know, he
Right, yeah, right.
I graduated.
well, no, it's out there.
Is it?
And they've been building those in the 60s. Oh, GSK, it takes a little jump.
Hello, what's up?
How's your mouth?
It's dry socket, but it's okay.
That's bad. Really?
Yeah.
Don't they have to do more to it though?
Well, when he takes the stitches out, you know, he called in an extra prescription.
Oh, gosh.
You know, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And, of course, I just said.
And did Patrick come or no?
Patrick is not back.
Okay. I couldn't remember if
He
he
comes
was.
back tomorrow. He's hoping to be back in time for the funeral.
Okay.
Stayed at, just under.
I have that checked out.
That was the
If you want the
excitement.
question, I can ask the person for the interpretation of
I was told this day.
what the intent is.
Why?
There's quite, there's a highlight for me. Since I play guitar, I get to go to a couple of guitar shops now. So it gives you the
Our finance director says you're the one to answer this question.
it gives you garages, the
Why are we
official store for the website.
Yeah.
And got to see it.
So someone has taps on the water.
Because they paid for it, as that paragraph said. When paid for by a private person or corporation.
So, since we're changing the frontage fees to just a flat $2,000, if they paid
Not yet.
more than that years ago,
But
we're gonna remit back to them that additional amount.
he,
That's the risk they take, yeah, so let's say
where is it?
They're
I'm,
not taking any risk.
Amount.
You're giving back thousands of
He's
dollars.
like there for 17, 20 years. And then
but they
put
paid
amount
for the
there.
water line in the
Amount
first
actually
place.
ended up keeping his water.
That provision only comes, let's say I live down
So
east,
then that guy ends up.
west of Market, right, or east of Market.
Using a sump pump to get it out,
I'm
he puts it in his
independently
street.
wealthy, and I really want
But
city water.
Within this
So
amount.
I personally pay for the water line extension all the way from the city's corporate boundaries, let's say half a mile down east to my house. I'm the only one who taps it. For the next 10 years, anybody else who taps into that water line, I get their frontage fee, not the city, because
Correct. I
I paid
understand
for
that,
it.
I understand that.
Yeah, so I'm taking the risk that $2,000 in 5 years will be enough to recoup me of the hundreds of thousands I've spent now.
That's kind of what it says to me. In fact, take for example, we got water all the way up to Spectrum.
Yeah,
Who paid for that line?
as far as I'm aware, the city paid for that.
So
Therefore,
if somebody taps onto it,
we would get the frontage fee.
if somebody's, must have, Spectrum already has paid the frontage fee on that.
Yes,
How much do they pay then? And are we gonna rebate a portion of what they paid back then?
No.
Well, that's the way it reads.
but you just asked me who paid for that line, and I just told you the city paid for it, not Spectrum.
Like all this stuff, and I do think.
Spectrum didn't pay for the water line, we did. So
And
why
they-
would we remit anything?
And they pay
to-
their frontage fee
Yeah,
to tap onto it.
So.
yes, for whatever their frontage is, which isn't the whole length of the water line.
But you're changing their frontage fee now
And now
to a flat 2,000.
Correct.
They probably paid more than that
Too bad.
years
That's
ago.
where your water was, you should.
Perhaps, yes.
So you're gonna remit back to them anything
So,
over
that's
$2,000.
what, so I went to Starbucks.
No, why would we?
That's what it
And,
says.
That's not what it says. That paragraph says if someone connects to a water line that was paid
I
for by a
know,
private
I had gotten
individual,
it,
after this
but
takes
I
effect,
don't-
that private individual gets the frontage fee, not us.
I'll check with Tracy and see.
Yes.
It does not say we're going to retroactively refund
Okay.
frontage fees.
If you can assure me that, that's fine, but it certainly reads that way. And yeah, if somebody paid for the whole line, they're gonna wanna recoup some of their expense.
It's fine the way it is. I
But
just don't
the
want
city
the pathway between to let
owns
all
the
that
line,
out.
right?
It's like, I get it. Makes
Do you
total
need me
sense.
to hang on to that? or-
So is there some kind of agreement
So I'll
that
just ask.
they would be
Yes.
compensated for anybody who taps on
And I'm
to it?
happy to meet him again, I'm
It's
happy to go up
that
there.
paragraph right there that you've highlighted.
Didn't sit
I don't
well.
understand that.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Paul.
See, I told you
Told me what?
that I did email. I was just waiting. And then you got it.
I got it. You got mine too.
And I responded, but I was kind of glad to know too.
Yeah, it's different.
I like it though, I don't see any over there.
More power
It
to
seems
them.
kind of nice, humane.
Somebody next to you, they have a fence yard next to you?
For me, of course I need it.
Good, how about yourself?
Thank you. No, that is not
I can hardly keep
true at
plans
all.
alive.
Yeah, well, it must be your neighbor then.
It could be, no. Was it a big one?
They're hound dogs, which is why they were howling. But they were having a ball. Right up the road,
But I think it'll be,
they find it.
okay? Okay, yes.
My neighbor,
Must be the neighbor then.
they've got a couple of young kids.
Yeah, but they have dogs.
Gosh, I was watching the news before I left. It's just depressing with all the Texas stuff.
I have a friend that a quarter of a mile away from Allen, Texas, that
Yeah, but
I
then
heard
did
the
you hear,
sirens, kept hearing them over.
but then did you hear about the guy that ran into people at a bus stop?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. Yeah. And then border stuff the next days and,
That's it.
wow.
That's gonna get, that's gonna be great. That's gonna be great.
I mean, do we even have enough people to manage it? Like,
We set 15.
I know.
hours, though.
and then they were sending it back.
Yeah.
So where are they gonna go? Just to the river?
Anywhere they want.
Yeah.
You're allowed to
Horse.
give up.
If you're here, they go there.
Right.
It's like whack-a-mole.
And just like you see all these people with kids though, and you're like,
Now they can land on public parks too, so you can go and claim and then you can't kick them out. How are you gonna do it if it's like,
so
wait,
here we are.
like, yeah, it's ridiculous.
It was just depressing.
I think I want to dance with you.
What's that?
I want to dance with you.
You're
Go right
more than
ahead.
welcome to do that. Would be great.
I would like to meet you to start like that.
Like to put that on the agenda. You ready then? Okay, now call to order the City Council meeting of May 8th, 2023. The time is 7 p.m. Opening prayer.
We pray in the name of God, the infinitely good, the all-merciful. Praise be to God, the Lord of the worlds, most gracious, most compassionate, master of the day of judgment. You only do worship, and in you we seek help. Guide us upon the straight path, the path of those on whom your grace is, not those on whom your anger is, nor those who are astray. O God, the one who does not waste deposit, we entrust you to our country and its people, its security and safety, its days and nights, its land and its sky. We entrust you with the men, women, youth, children, and wealth of our country. O Lord our God, unite our nation, our state, and our city around the principle of justice, peace, love, and faith. Put peace and love in our hearts for the diversity that makes our country so beautiful. O Lord, most strong, give us the strength to protect and care for our neighbors. O Lord, we pray for our nation, the United States of America, to remain loving, compassionate, remove prejudice from our hearts, and enable us to love our brothers and sisters of all faiths and none. Make our hearts and minds aware of our heritage, fulfilling duties and responsibilities as citizens of our country. Allah, most merciful, allow us to show kindness to those most vulnerable in society. Protect us from evil, inspire and guide us in defending those open to abuse. Lord, most generous, allow us to give in charitable activity and to help those most in need. Lord, give our members of this council vision and wisdom as they make decisions affecting peace, economy, and well-being of the people it serves and the world in general. Allow them to act justly and to pass laws, rules, regulations, decisions that will be beneficial not only to the residents of this city, but also to the world in general. O God, our sustainer, allow us to care to our environment and sustain this world for future generations. And most generous, please give us the patience to continue to learn from one another and work towards a more peaceful and kind world. Make true in our nation the ideas of freedom and justice and brotherhood for all those who live for them. And make our hearts generous so that we may treat others as we wish to be treated ourselves. Help us to share that which we have with others for your sake. Strengthen us, love us, and be kind to us all. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you ask, I'd ask that...
Would you reintroduce yourself for us again so we know who gave us the...
My name is Jafar Juma. I am the Imam at the Islamic Society of Northeast Ohio, right here in Portage,
Yes.
close to 77, where there's Burger King behind Burger King.
Yeah.
When you come for Burger King, you can also come in.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I'll get excused, inshallah.
You can go.
Thank you.
I would ask that we rise again and bow our heads. It's difficult to follow the Imam's prayer.
Almighty God, creator of life, tonight we offer heartfelt thanks for the life of Marge Johnson. We are grateful for her long and dedicated service to our citizens and to our city. We humbly ask that you welcome Marge into your light, into eternal life, and Almighty God, bring comfort to her husband Dave, our former mayor, and their children in this time of sorrow. Amen.
I would also like to follow up with a message from the city administration to the Dave Johnson and family members. On behalf of city administration, I'd like to express how very saddened we are to hear about the passing of your wife, Marge. We understand this is a challenging time for you and your family, and our thoughts are with you and your loved ones. I first met Marge in 1986 when I joined the city as a full-time police officer. I was extremely impressed by her and her genuine demeanor of friendliness, kindness, helpfulness, confidence, professionalism, respectfulness, humbleness, and commitment in representing the city and her department well. As some of you may recall, and I'm sure Dave and his family will, Marge started her career with the city of North Canton in 1974 with the general title of clerk typist for the engineering department. Now, she worked under 3 city engineers during her 25 plus years with the city: Denny Fleckner, Phil Roush, and Jim Benicos. It was well known that Marge was someone that could always count on for her dedication and her attention to detail. She had a keen eye when it came to noticing vital details that would have caused major problems if not detected and fixed. One could often find her helping other employees fit in, as she did for me by helping me to feel like I belonged with co-workers, supervisors, and managers. On behalf of the city administration, I would again like to express our sincere condolences and our appreciation for your wife's years of service, professional integrity, and proficiency with our city. Her actions speak for themselves, and she inspired everyone around her in an exceptional way. I know she will be dearly missed by all those who knew her. Sincerely, Mayor Stephen B. Wild, City of North Canton. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor. Ben, would you please call the roll?
Member Orr? Here. Member Volt?
Here.
Member Stroh?
Here.
Member Ware?
Here.
Member McLeister?
Here.
Member Wyrick?
Here.
Member Matheny?
Here.
7 present.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion and a second to approve as presented the minutes from April 19th and April 24th and the April 2023 finance report?
The vote moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We'll move on to the agenda-only version of recognition of the public. At this time, members of the public wishing to address council may do so. Each speaker will be granted 5 minutes. Comments shall be limited to legislative items appearing on tonight's agenda only. The rules for speaking will, in the speaker's time, will appear on both screens. This will serve as the only warning for everyone in attendance. Any violations of the rules will result in ejection from the premises. Anyone wishing to address council, please approach the podium.
Chuck Osborne, 307 Fairview Street, Southeast, North Canton, Ohio. For over a half a century, North Canton has not allowed parking on city streets between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. That law has stood the test of time and has served the city well for over 50 years. Now incorporated in a total rewrite of Chapter 351 under Ordinance Number 36/2023, there is a proposal to allow a property owner to pay a fee to park on the street and thereby not comply with the overnight parking prohibition. Allowing the purchase of a 3-month overnight on-street parking permits undermines the concept that everyone is treated equally under the law. Restricting overnight parking and then selling permits to ignore that very law invites erosion of the rule of law and eventually disrespect of the law. My wife and I have lived in a home with a single-car garage and a 1-lane wide driveway since the 1980s. I can tell you from experience nearly 35 years ago, it was no fun getting dressed to go out and move one car so the other can get out of the driveway. Coordinating who needs to leave first the next morning was a daily chore before closing up the house. My neighbors have ample parking for their numerous vehicles, but prefer to leave 1 or 2 vehicles on the street overnight. Many years ago, I added a parking pad behind my house to accommodate the 2 cars in my household. In contrast, a neighbor chose to construct a patio behind his house where he could have constructed additional parking space, but obviously chose not to. It is not good public policy to allow families to live beyond the limits of their property and infringe on their neighbors. This issue goes beyond small residential properties found in R50 zone districts. There is the fact that many streets throughout the city are narrow. Parking on the street during the day presents challenges for drivers as a result. Anyone driving around a parked car will find themselves suddenly meeting a car head-on. The blind hill on Fairview Street makes the situation very dicey and unsafe. The discussion at last week's council meeting that where existing parking restrictions do not allow for parking in front of one's house, that a parking permit would allow them to park across the street, will surely make homeowners very unhappy. I would be very displeased to see the city sell a permit allowing someone to park their car in front of my house 24 hours a day for as long as 6 months. Are we now going to turn our public streets into parking lots? As a family has more and more children, they generally move to a home that will accommodate the needs of their growing family. If a home does not allow for the parking of multiple cars, boats, motorcycles, and/or recreational vehicles belonging to its residents, it is time for residents to look elsewhere for a home that will meet their lifestyle. Maintain the 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. overnight parking restrictions. Strip 351.14b entirely from the rewrite of Chapter 351 and do not allow temporary overnight parking permits, period. These restrictions have served North Canton well and have made North Canton a safe, orderly community for far longer than many of you have been alive. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address council tonight? Please approach the podium.
Rita Palmer, 307 Fairview Street, North Canton. You are scheduled to vote tonight on an agenda item, Ordinance 36, 2023, relating to general parking in the city. I am opposed to Section 351.14 of the ordinance, which allows for overnight parking of cars and/or trucks on city streets, in particular between 2 and 6 a.m. An overnight parking prohibition has been around for at least 58 years, since when I began to drive, and it has served citizens well. Now, however, people will be able to buy a permit for 3 months and then a renewal for 3 more months to park in front of their house. Some people have 5 cars to park. Car driver 1 could park in front of the house for 6 months, and afterwards driver 2 could get permits for 6 more months. At the end of the year, the permitting process will be allowed to continue into the next calendar year. The final result would be a parked car on the street for up to 24 hours for the whole year minus time off for a snowstorm or two and a parking ban, which you've not yet put on the books. This is not uniform and cohesive parking regulations for all. Instead, it's buying your way out of obeying a good law. Let me elaborate further. On Fairview Street, southeast, between Foster and McKinley, there are 19 residences. Of those, only 7 would qualify to park on the street overnight because of currently signed parking regulations and the restriction in Chapter 351.03A2, part of Ordinance 36, that states, no person shall park, quote, in front of a public or private driveway, end quote. Since clearly no one would expect to legally park a car that blocks a street or a driveway, I presume this restriction means no one can park on the street opposite from any driveways or street exits, so as not to make exiting that driveway or road a dangerous option. If this is true, along with the fact that our street is narrow and there are very many curb cuts, fewer than half of the 19 residence owners on Fairview will have a safe option to buy an overnight parking permit. For surely the police department will not be giving parking permits to those residents whose house frontage is directly across from single or double wide drives or streets like Fairhart, where in the past even a city vehicle exiting Fairhart hit a car parked on the street in front of a Fairview residence. Dodging parked cars on narrow streets is a game, at best, during the day. And if this chapter for overnight parking is put in place, it will be a disaster waiting to happen at night. The overnight parking rules have worked for years. They don't need to be changed. Not at all. However, the chapter rule 351.03A2, again, part of the ordinance, its restriction to stop vehicles from parking at all times, day or night, in front of public or private driveways needs to be clarified. What exactly does that mean? Do not block the street or driveway and prevent a car from exiting at all? Or does it mean do not park on the street opposite from a drive or intersecting roadway so as to make it possible for someone to exit that driveway safely without hitting a parked vehicle? Council should consider tabling its third vote on this issue until clarifications can be made for the public to understand what this ordinance does or does not include. It is vital for citizens to have this information if you want them to safely comply. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address council tonight? Final call. Okay. Moving on to old business. Ben, would you please read the title of ordinance 16-2020?
An ordinance amending Chapter 1159, non-conforming uses, buildings, lots, and structures, specifically subsection 1159.03E, discontinuance of use of the codified ordinances of the City of North Canton to lower the period during which a non-conforming use is continued while inactive from 2 years to 12 months.
Okay, community and economic development there?
Right, I think we've discussed this frequently. Again, the purpose is to bring non-conforming uses that are vacant into compliance with our zoning ordinance in a more reasonable and timely fashion. Are there any questions or comments about this? Seeing none, then I'll make a motion to adopt the third reading of ordinance 16-23.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on. Ben, would you please read the title of ordinance 21-2023?
An ordinance amending the zoning map of the city of North Canton to reclassify 25 parcels in the city of North Canton in accordance with the amendment procedure set forth in chapter 1182 of the Planning and Zoning Code in order to phase out office building zoning throughout the city.
Darrell again.
Okay, as the clerk has indicated, this ordinance received a favorable opinion from the Planning Commission. Our purpose is to eliminate office building as a zoning category. You'll note on page 18 of your packet, section 1 of this ordinance lists the properties that are to be moved from office building to Main Street Central, General Business A, RMFA, and R50. So it's not uniform, but what's happened is we've tried to place these in areas that make the changes to be compatible with the surrounding areas. Absent from this are the properties on Schneider that we've discussed. That will come back to us at another point when we've got some different language for a neighborhood type business. So that will come at some point, but for now, this is where we are. Are there any questions or comments about this for our third reading? Board Councilman? Okay, seeing none then, I'll make a motion to adopt the third reading of ordinance 21-23. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Ben, would you please read the title of ordinance 33-2023?
An ordinance establishing Chapter 709 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of North Canton, thereby creating a facade incentive program which provides economic relief to Main Street businesses who update their building's facade in accordance with recommended cohesive design standards.
Darrell again.
Okay, very good. As the short title indicates, the administration has prepared some facade standards. It has created a prescribed method for applying for this incentive, and the incentive essentially, based upon the size of the project, will allow the applicant to receive a waiver or a portion of a waiver for the fees, the permit fees to do the facade. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, then I'll make a motion to adopt the third reading of ordinance 33-23.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben, would you please read the title of ordinance 33-2023? Sorry, that would be 36.
An ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 35-1, parking generally, of the Codified Ordinances of the City of North Canton.
John?
This is the third reading. We've had 2 speakers tonight oppose that. Does any of the council people have any questions on this? We've discussed it quite a bit. It's going to give our police force a little bit more meat. It's going to help both ways, the city and the residents on this.
I think, and Mayor, you and I have talked about this, and I talked about it with Mr. DiOrio as well. This is for special circumstances. People just can't willy-nilly go up and, hey, I want to park on my street, and I've decided that it's just been a nuisance. So it really is still going to be for that. So I don't think, Mrs. Palmer, when you said that they could do it for 6 months and then 6 months, it's a case by case. So somebody would note that and say, oh, they are, I guess, not adhering to the way the system is supposed to be. So again, it is for those unforeseen circumstances to help families that may be in need at that time.
I think the example that was given, if my memory serves, was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And maybe there were kids in college, they've gotten cars as they've gone away to college, and now there's no room for them to park in the driveway, and can't be at school, they're home, where do they park? I did not take it as this is a new lifestyle choice and we're just gonna park on the street, so.
People have healthcare needs,
Yeah.
different things like
It's an
that.
extenuating circumstance.
Yeah.
And as far as parking on the street, I mean, I know for many, many years, people have been, they're getting their driveway redone. They park on the street. Heck, we did it, last year. I mean, it's not anything new. The length of time is different, but it's for an extenuating circumstance. So I hear what you're saying. I appreciate your comments, but I think it would be more of an extenuating circumstance.
Do we have a definition of those that qualify as far as the side of the street? There are certain streets where you can't park on one side of the street. Does that exclude those? Or are we limiting options for residents to park on the street? So is this only available to some and not to all?
I would answer your question in this way, and I don't substitute my comment for that of Mr. Boyer. But this ordinance will not cancel no parking on a given side of the street. If it's posted no parking, you cannot park on that side of the street.
Does that resident have an option for parking then?
If he doesn't, then he cannot. If the street is posted no parking
On his side?
And this goes to my second question. The street is a public right-of-way. A homeowner does not have, at least in my mind, any legal authority to prohibit someone else from parking in front of his home on the public right-of-way.
And I thought that was something we had discussed, but
I think we have.
We did.
But I think based upon some of the comments tonight, I think it's important that it be understood that the homeowner does not control the use of the public right-of-way. That belongs to the community, and it is for the community's use, unless it is posted, no parking.
So as written, it is any property in front of which street parking is currently legal.
That's right.
From my recollection of our meeting with Wayne, we intentionally did not say the same side of the street because of that reason. So you could be in front of your home across the street.
Down the street from your home.
Well, no, you do have to be in front of your home.
Pardon?
You do have to be in front of your home. You cannot be down the street.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that's an interesting question then. Maybe that's something that should be revisited. Because it's conceivable, for example, if you have an R50 lot with driveways, you may have to stick a second car one down.
Yes, that gets harder to track because each property is individually listed to 2 permits a year.
It does not.
Would you say that again, Ben?
Yes.
Would you say that one more time,
Yeah.
please?
Each property and each vehicle individually are limited to 2 permits a year. So let's say,
That's right.
so like my grandmother used to live in town and my aunt both live in town. Let's say while I was at Walsh, one summer I spent it with my grandmother, or the same summer I spent 2 months with my grandmother and 2 months with my aunt. I have used up my 2 permits on that one vehicle for the year at 2 different locations. The 2 locations have each used one of their permits for the year, both on me.
thank you for the explanation.
I think if it's permitted properly and the vehicles are displaying a permit, you can have the address to which it's granted. You should know that. The police should know it. But I think if you're arguing that it's got to be exclusively in front of the house, I think that's problematic. They work in my neighborhood where you can park 3 or 4 cars in front of. It may work in my neighborhood where you can park 3 or 4 cars in front of my house, but it would have never worked up on Bacto where we lived when we were first married.
But it's only overnight, right? So you're the only one on the street probably who is allowed to park.
Well,
overnight on the street.
let's come back. Let's assume for the sake of argument that you're living in an R50 neighborhood. You've got 2 kids in college. You may need temporarily those parking spots in front of the house. Let's assume, for example, that, or a contemporary example, let's assume you've had a death in the family. You have people coming in, the kids are home. They can't get in the driveway. They have multiple cars. You want to make it legal for all the cars. They just can't park all in front of the house.
According to the way the ordinance is written, it is directly in front of the house. So it goes back to my original question.
That should be struck.
Limiting this to only those individuals that have enough space in front of their house or across the street from their house.
And if there's
I'll read it to you. It states,
Dave, draw.
permits shall permit one vehicle identified by both license plate and VIN number to park on the street directly in front of the property for which the permit was issued for a period of no more than 3 months. So it does state directly in the ordinance.
I don't think that's going to work.
And if the parking is not allowed on one side of the house, then you're
Right.
even more limited on that. I think that needs to be revisited.
Because
I think if we're this confused.
in my neighborhood, across the street, my neighbor couldn't park on the street because of a fire hydrant.
I was thinking about that.
You know, so is he allowed to park in front of my house, according to how it's written? No.
Right.
Directly in front of his house.
Right.
If that's across the street, then yes, but hopefully they don't live on Apple Grove.
Right, right. I think,
Let me ask you this question then. Are you proposing an amendment that we strike directly?
I'm proposing we kind of rethink.
that's,
I just think we're so confused with what works. And Dave, you and I had talked, and remember we wanted some, not that we can put examples, but we don't want people to just think, like you said, this is just a new way of life, we don't feel like getting up in the morning and this is what we can do. That's not what this is about. And we felt like that wasn't clear enough.
Right. You also don't want to give someone free rein to park anywhere in the city or anything. If you strike that completely, they can park anywhere.
But if it's registered to a specific address, does it matter?
Does not.
But that's not the way this ordinance is written.
That is
Right.
correct.
We should revisit this with the administration and with Wayne and clarify that before we take a vote on the
Yeah.
third reading.
Agreed.
So you have a motion to read it. I'm going to make a motion that we table this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion tabled. Okay. Ben, would you please read the title of ordinance 37-2023?
An ordinance establishing chapter 1313 of the codified ordinances of the city of North Canton, thereby creating regulations for the establishment and maintenance of grading and drainage on lots in the city of North Canton, Ohio.
John?
all right, we talked about this at great lengths earlier. It's preventing water from going to your neighbor, the neighbor's yard. You know, people are dumping all this dirt on their lot to make the water go anywhere but where it belongs to go. So, I think it's written really well, and I'll make a motion that we pass the third reading of this.
So just to clarify, so I was talking with a resident this week, and then one neighbor had put like a brim kind of up, and it actually kept the water in their area. So it actually stopped the flow moving. I don't think he expected that when he did that.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's thinking about, oh, that didn't work. I'm going to put like a little walkway between, which then that would release the water from his house going into another neighbor's yard.
Illegal.
Illegal, exactly.
Right,
So we should be able to say to this neighbor, you aren't allowed to do that.
correct.
Okay. And that's what we're trying to hope.
Trying to
You
hope.
cannot, you can't change the flow of natural water
Right.
to someone else's.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you get these people who are dumping all this huge amount of dirt, and it's flowing over to the left or flowing to
Yeah.
the right.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me ask you this. would that neighbor, once he saw that he had impeded his natural flow on his own side, are they able to put a sump pump in that area and then put that out to the street and down our drains?
I'm not an engineer.
You'd have to get a permit.
Yes, yeah, permit we have.
Okay. Okay,
That would make sense.
okay. All right, it was very timely.
Yeah, that,
Yeah,
yeah.
all right, thank you.
So I'll make a motion that we pass the third reading of this ordinance.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Ben, would you please read the title of ordinance 44-2023?
An ordinance amending chapter 703, registration of rental units, specifically subsection 703.04C of the codified ordinances of the city of North Canton in order to amend the inspection procedure for registered rental units.
Okay, utilities, Jamie.
No, it's ordinance of rule.
No.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Back to me.
Yeah, sorry about that.
As
Read
it
the wrong
stands
one.
now, how it's written now, we go 30 days, then another 30 days, and another 30 days. What we want to do is go 60 days, then another 60 days.
No.
And
Right now it's inspection 1, 30 days, inspection 2, 30 days,
days.
inspection 3. The new method would be inspection 1, 60 days, inspection 2, you're done.
You're done, okay. It's still 120 days.
Well, it's still 60 days.
60 days, and trying to get a repair and a
Oh.
contractor out in 30 days is next to impossible these days. So, and most people, how are the calls coming in for that? Are we getting a lot of asking for extensions, how it's currently written?
Yeah, that's part of what brought this forward. Because of scheduling contractors, we've kind of been treating it as you have 30 days to schedule the next inspection as opposed to you have 30 days to have the next inspection completed, because so frequently it's, okay, I've called a plumber, here's proof that I've contacted a plumber, but they're not coming until XYZ. So we feel the 60 days will give them enough time to get it all done and not be worrying about, oh, my 30 days are running out while waiting for a plumber.
Okay, good explanation. Any other questions or comments on that?
I just want to make a clarification. I read 44-2023. This is 43-2023. So just wanted to clarify that.
All right, I'll make a motion, we pass the third reading of this,
Second reading.
or second reading, excuse me.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben, would you please read the title of ordinance 44-2023?
An ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 935, Water Lines and Hydrants of the codified ordinances of the City of North Canton in order to simplify water tap-in regulation.
All right, utilities, Jamie.
All right, we've discussed this at one of the council meeting and also at committee. This is to address tap-in fees in an effort to get more people potentially interested in tapping in outside the city. So I don't know if there's anything else to add. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Good.
Okay. So with that, I would move that we pass the second reading of ordinance 44-2023.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben, would you please read the title of ordinance 45-2023?
An ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 937, Water Rates of the codified ordinances of the City of North Canton in order to adjust rates and clarify regulation.
Okay, Jamie again, utilities.
All right, and this ordinance addresses the water rates and the need to tweak the plan that was put in place, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was back in 21, was it? Previously?
The current rate plan
Current rate,
was
current-
21.
Yeah, so this is adjusting the current rate plan, and again, we discussed this in the past, so I don't know if there's any other comments?
There is.
Okay.
I think it's important that as we discuss these water rates, that our citizens understand that we basically have three options available to us. The first option is to raise the rates to meet state and federal fiscal operation standards. Those standards require that we have, and I would look to our Director of Finance to assist me if I stumble, but we're required to maintain an operating balance, are we not?
Correct.
A reserve, if you will.
12 months.
12-month reserve. We're required to do that. Moreover, if we elect not to, we would be subject to certain types of penalties. Amongst them, ineligibility for grants to help maintain the system through Ohio Public Works. This is not, I would say, a penalty to be taken or considered lightly.
For sure.
The second option is the option that's always available to us. And that's the do nothing option. Just let it run. Ignore the fiscal requirements. And if there's an emergency or a problem, you simply don't have the revenue to address it. Or if you decide to, then the costs might be too high for the residents to afford. For example, Flint, Michigan comes to mind, or that recent community down in Alabama of 3,500 whose water system has failed. They simply let it go too long and now have a crisis on their hands. The third option that we have is to sell the system. Sell the system. Sell it to Aqua, a for-profit corporation. We will never have to deal with a complaint again about rates. Because frankly, we don't set them. We don't own the system. We've heard some complain that the 5% rate is too high. It's oppressive. What does that 5% really mean? It means 31 cents per thousand. 31 cents. So I think the question for us as we go forward, and we can sell it down the road if you like, or you can repeal the rates. But I'd much rather have control of our rates than somebody else. At least we're doing it to keep the system functional and operative and conforming with the law. If you want an example of how well privatization of municipal water systems works, Google Aqua America. You will find that when a corporation has to meet the requirements of its stockholders, the rates don't increase by 5%. They don't go up 30 cents a thousand. And as that system needs to be updated with capital investment, there are major costs that are passed on to the consumer. So, Mr. McLeister,
Yeah.
you've asked for a motion on this reading.
Like a motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to new business. Ben, would you please read the title of Ordinance 46-2023?
An ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 719 rubbish haulers of the codified ordinances of the city of North Canton.
All right, John, you're going to talk about some rubbish haulers here?
Jamie, would you like to?
It's confusing.
It is.
Jamie talks about rubbish.
Yeah. This is pretty simple, all right? How I understand this, all right? It's not gonna change anything else except, you have to still have your rubbish containers away from the road within, I think it's 24 hours, okay? How this was written years ago was they had to be out of sight, you know, put in a garage, a fence around it, whatever. We used to go, before Kimball, we had those the little plastic totes. Then we went to these, you name it, how big those recycle and the trash bins are, you know. So putting them in, most of the homes I know in my ward are single car garages. Not a lot of room in those. The driveways are short. You try to put them away, you know, in the back. I put mine in the back, out of sight. But in the summertime, I don't want my trash can or recycle by where my patio is, so they go to the side of the house.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not gonna change where people are putting these at all. If you drive through the city, it's pretty consistent. They're off the street, they're off to the side of the house or in the back. And there's some even in garages these days.
I think, excuse me, I take a little bit of a different view to this, and I think if you go back years ago, because I'll go back to when my wife and I bought our house in 2007, before Kimball was the trash hauler in the area, or at least before we had these cans. We live in an older home. We have, albeit a two-car garage. We were easily able to store the cans in our garage, and I think it was decisions from councils many, many years ago, I think something like 10 or so years ago, that we went to these cans. And I struggle here because I think that I think it looks awful to see these cans sitting out in front of people's houses. I wish that we had not gone with Kimball years ago. I'll come out and say it, because I think that these cans they look bad. However, we've got a double-edged sword. You know, I've had calls from a couple residents about this, that they don't want me to support this, and frankly, I don't want to support this, but we run a risk if we leave it the way it is now. You drive by a lot of the houses in the city, and you will see cans, whether they're on the side or they're in the front, and I don't know that necessarily...
Little music for your
yeah. I think we're having technical difficulties.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that TV.
Okay. Got a mind of its own. So, I guess basically just to wrap it up, what I'm saying is that I think it's a double-edged sword here. I don't necessarily like seeing the cans out in front of the house, but at this rate, what are we going to do? Cite, you know, a quarter of the city for this, and so you really can't enforce this law. So I just wanted to say my piece, since I wasn't able to say it last week, that I don't know that I support it from my heart, but I think from a practicality standpoint, this is probably the right decision. So.
A lot of them are not out in front of the house. They're either at the side.
They're still within view of the front, yeah. So.
Well, the ordinance as written is not hidden from view from the right-of-way. The ordinance as written is hidden from view from your neighbor's property.
Mm-hmm.
So they might be hidden from the street, but if your neighbor could still see it from their backyard, you are technically in violation.
But I'm even going as far as saying that there are a significant number of people that just leave them in their front yard or in their driveways.
It's impossible to enforce. We're not
correct.
enforcing
It's
it now,
impossible
right?
to enforce, and that's the problem. And that's why I reluctantly will vote yes for this. But I just wanted to say my piece.
It's a good example of the law of unintended consequences.
That's exactly right.
This was to promote efficiency and cost effectiveness in the collection, to hold down rates, automating garbage collection, to reduce the amount of trash that was escaping smaller cans and blowing up and down streets.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we get? You have to look at your neighbor's can.
Yep.
But Jamie, you can still use that blue recycle bin, right?
I can.
Do you have 5 cars? Maybe just park a car in front of one.
Kimball threw away his recycle bin.
Well, yeah, but I did get a new one, so.
That's good.
And I'm sorry, I'm getting over bronchitis. I apologize for the coughing. I will add, because my wife and I are holdouts, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Young, but if you do not want a large trash can, you can have, Kimball also offers a smaller can, or you can use your own can, because I've been using my own can since we got married in 2007. So therefore, they do fit nicely in my garage. So.
You have a 2-car garage, right?
Yeah, with a smaller can.
Well, there are some people that don't even have a garage. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or have it in an alley.
Yeah.
Yep.
Through offense, yeah.
Well, I'll make a motion, we take this to the second reading.
Revolt seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben, would you please read the title of Resolution 47-2023?
A resolution authorizing the Director of Administration to provide the information and documentation necessary to apply for funding assistance through the Ohio Department of Natural Resources Nature Works Grant Program and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Okay, Parks and Recreation, Christina.
So this is an Ohio Department of Natural Resources Nature Works grant that requires that council agrees for the city to submit an application for this potential funding. It's going to be used for, it would be a reimbursement up to 75% for new playground structure and play surface at Dogwood, not pool, the actual playground. We discussed it last week in committees. Anyone have any questions? Anything? Okay, we're going to have to adopt this on emergency because the grant is due June 1st. So I would move that we adopt the first reading of 47-2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And, can I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules of council requiring 3 readings?
Revolt moves. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And can I have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 47-2023 under suspension of the rules?
Revolt moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Ben, would you please read the title of Ordinance 48-2023?
An ordinance amending Chapter 135, Department of Fire and Emergency Medical Service, specifically Section 135.02, Chief of Department of the Codified Ordinances of the City of North Canton, to correct a conflict with the North Canton City Charter.
Okay, Personnel, David.
Yes, so we do have a conflict under the charter. 3.02 paragraph 3 item 2 states that the administrator gets to choose the chief of the departments, and in our ordinances it states that the mayor gets to choose the chief of the fire department and medical services. So we need to correct that, and we need to go back to what the charter actually states, and that's what this ordinance will do. Question?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Make a motion that we adopt the first reading of ordinance 48-2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on to department reports. Let's start out with Mayor Wilder.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate the gifts, the comments of our public tonight. Thank you very much. I want to go through a number of things. Been kind of busy this last few weeks, but I want to bring up council up to date with my opportunity to represent the city in a number of functions. So please bear with me. On Thursday, April 27th, we had a ribbon cutting for the new bakery shop down on South Main at 1310 South Main Street, Stuffed Pastry. They're bringing their unique bakery items to the city, another new business coming in. And we had a great ribbon cutting and a proclamation welcoming them to the city of North Canton. Also, then on Saturday, April 29th, we had opening day, the North Canton Little League. It was a rainy day, but we got all our activities in and festivities. However, they weren't able to play any baseball games because the fields were soaked wet. But that was in recognition. I issued a proclamation for them for their 70th anniversary of providing baseball to our Little League. We had 265 youth participating for the event that morning. And congratulations again to Carl Young, Tom Meter, M-E-D-E-R, and our favorite dentist in the community here, President Gary Giamarco, for all the work that you've been doing for the last 40 to 50 years in maintaining Little League baseball here in North Canton. On Saturday also had an opportunity to attend, we had an open house at Arrowhead Golf and Event Center. to promote it and the banquet facility and the swimming pool. However, we had inclement weather that day, and there wasn't a big turnout, but we're still proud of Arrowhead and what it has to offer for our community. And I'm not sure if we're going to do that again, but we did have a few foursomes comes out, and I think somebody did buy a membership to play golf out there. Also that day, many of you may know this, but the North Canton Rotary Club also sponsors a high school leadership Interact Club at Hoover High School. And the tradition of the senior citizens prom continued on that Saturday night. We had over 200 guests, and I had an opportunity to be the doorman. It's not every day, I guess, the mayor meets people coming in from Navarre, Akron. We had them from Canton South, Louisville, Plain, Jackson Townships, Stowe and Akron coming down to the prom. So that was a very enjoyable evening for them. Moving on to Sunday, on April the 30th, our North Canton Public Library hosted the Little Art Gallery's 80th May art show. And I sent a congratulatory note to Elizabeth Blakemore, the gallery curator. I had an opportunity to be there and also issue another proclamation in support of their 80th annual program. Some of you may be aware of this, but had an opportunity on Monday, May 1st. That's why I wasn't here at the Community of the Whole meeting. I was invited by the president and CEO of the National First Ladies Library, and that was Mrs. Patty Dowd Schmitz, and invited me to be a part of the program that night with the introduction of called Beyond Camelot, and that was in support of the life and legacy of Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. Monty Durham from Say Yes to the Dress was there and brought his artifacts, memorabilia, dresses, and especially the reconstruction of the wedding dress that Jackie Kennedy wore on her marriage. And I had an opportunity to be there. And the unique thing about that was also part of the program was the deputy superintendent of Cuyahoga Valley National Park, and that is Karen Dorn, maiden name Betfree, and she is a North Canton Hoover graduate, and the president and CEO of the park is also a North Canton Hoover graduate. So I was able to have some alumni there, and that was a very fun event. On Thursday, May 4th, I want to thank again our North Canton Ministerial Association. They conducted an interfaith prayer event at Bitzer Park on the May 4th, that Thursday. They had two, one at noon and one around 3 o'clock. And I wanted to thank the community again for coming out and supporting that, and especially all our faith-based community organizations here in North Canton, but also a very special thank you to the Jewish community of Canton, the Islamic Society of Northeast Ohio, and the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Canton. All participated in that interfaith prayer day. And part of that was also, I supported that with a proclamation also in support of and recognition of that, in accordance with the President's issue as mandated under U.S. Code. So we did that for them also. And by the way, that was very well received by the small group that was there. They very much enjoyed that. Also on Thursday, May 4th, I had the opportunity to attend the May 4th, 1970-2023 annual commemoration of the May 4th shootings at Kent State University and Jackson State. And through a personal connection, I was invited to speak with a group of students from Emerson College, Boston, Massachusetts. And they were there coming down to Kent State that day to learn a little bit more about international political communications. And they visited the site, and I was able to provide them my perspective on what happened over the course of several days leading up to the tragic shooting deaths and injuries on May 4th, 1970, and the closing of our university and campuses, not only here, but across the United States. And as a freshman, I was there that weekend of those events, and I just gave them my perspective as a spectator and what I saw and what I experienced. And they were very thankful for that, and I thought that was a very nice compliment for them to ask me to be there. More recently, on Saturday, May 6th, Walsh University, our hometown university, graduated 638 students, 9 countries and 35 U.S. states, involving 55 degrees, academic degrees being awarded. And a very special evening on that Saturday. My wife Mary and I were invited by Dr. Tim Collins, president of the university, and his wife Brenda to attend the post-commencement dinner to celebrate the honorary doctorate degrees recipients, Archbishop Bashar Mate Warda of Iraq and local developer Roger DeVille. Archbishop Warda, that's W-A-R-D-A, received a doctorate in theology, and Roger DeVille received a doctorate from the School of Business. And it was a wonderful, intimate dinner along with the board of directors and other special guests. But I thought that was very much of an honor for the mayor to be invited and represent the city at that function. And closing in, okay, on it here, on Sunday, May 7th, I was invited to attend the Cornerstone Baptist Church in Massillon for their 7th annual law enforcement day of service recognition, and that was started. That was their 7th one also, and I was able to be there for my 7th time to attend that. And they recognized all the law enforcement agencies in Stark County and the officers and their wives and families and significant others that were there that day. And that was very kind of Cornerstone Baptist Church to invite our department along with others there. And almost closing it out, I don't know if some of you saw us walking on Main Street, but we had the Stark Hunger Walk. And there was other walks going around in the county that day, but we had one here in North Canton. And I can't thank Community Christian Church enough for coordinating that and being the jump-off site for that. And so we had 123 participants there, and we raised for the Akron Canton Regional Food Bank $8,500 that will go to the bank. And the weather finally cooperated, and we did have a good time. I thank the Boy Scouts that were there, all the volunteers from the church that were there too. So we got through that day. And just to give you a heads up, tomorrow on Tuesday at 3 p.m., we'll be doing a ribbon cutting and welcoming another business, small business, to the city of North Canton, and that is Park Street Pizza. And they're coming to us from Sugar Creek, Ohio. And they're going to be down at 1212 South Main Street. And we're looking forward to seeing, well, tasting some of their signature pizzas and other food items, as they say, from farm to fork. So we'll be down there for them. And a little shout out to our North Canton Middle School. A 7th grader student, Destiny Shamaya. She took first place in the All-Stark County Civics Bee, and that was held recently at Walsh University. And she was one of 16 finalists from 7 school districts here in Stark County. So a shout out to her and congratulations her for coming in first place. And with that, I'm going to give you a heads up, okay? May 19th and 20th is the North Canton Garden Club perennial garden sale. So put that on your calendars, okay? I'm getting the word out early for them. They do a great job in decorating some of the some of the garden boxes that we have at the square and in the city. So I appreciate your indulgence on allowing me to share some things with my opportunity to represent the city of North Canton in a number of areas. So that's all I have, President Story.
Thank you, Mayor. Was the first pitch an opening day a strike?
You know what? It was a little outside, but I didn't bounce it. It went across the plate. It was a good catch. The young man was there, gave me a good target. It was just on the outside corner. Okay.
Nice.
So, but thank you very much. I wasn't was it Kelsey who threw that terrible pitch at the football player up at?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he bounced it 6 feet before home plate. So there's a lot of pressure doing that. It looks good, but anyways, thank you for the indulgence of allowing me to share some of the things. It's been a busy time of the week. So
Thank you. Director of Finance, Gina.
I'm going to share my time with Jim. We both have just a couple things to announce.
Yeah, so I'll go first. Last week, we were awarded Finance and the City of North Canton the GFOA Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. GFOA is the Government Finance Officers Association. That was for our 2021 financial report. They're a little behind. Usually you get them in August of the next year. So we would hope, we're doing 2022's audit right now, so we would hope that we would get it August of this year, correct? Yeah, we hope. It's kind of delayed. But just for reference, this Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in government accounting and financial reporting. And I'll give a little breakdown and a little write-up that I have here. We were honored to receive the GFOA Certificate of Achievement for Excellence Financial Reporting. It's a prestigious award granted by the Government Finance Officers Association to recognize governments that go beyond the minimum requirements of the generally accepted accounting principles, and that they prepare comprehensive annual financial reports that demonstrate transparency and full disclosure. This is a testament to our city's commitment in maintaining the highest standards of financial management and reporting. While this award highlights the exceptional work of our finance department, it also recognizes the collaborative efforts of all our city employees. Their dedication to maintaining accurate financial records and adhering to best practices and working together towards a fiscally responsible and transparent government has contributed to achieving this recognition. This award is a testament to the entire city team's commitment to excellence and their ongoing efforts to serve our community with the highest standards of financial stewardship. And we're proud to celebrate this achievement. So we've had this consistently since 1988, and Gina and I are really hoping to get, for the first time this year, the GFOA Budget Award, which is kind of something we've kind of been shooting at. But she's never had. So
We have to go to the next
yep,
level.
So we're shooting for that.
It's going to keep getting better. And then on a second note, our new utility billing system went live today, this afternoon. So if you have not paid your May bill, check out the new system. I did try this afternoon for the first payment, and they're asking for a customer identification number, which will be printed on your June bill, so you don't have that. But you can still test out the new system, pull up your bill. You would just have to pay as a guest this first round. You can sign up for e-bill, you can the email notifications, there's just all sorts of new, and then as we build the system with multiple months in the new system, then you'll be able to see graphs of usage and a lot more information about your account. So try it out and see how you like it.
Thank you. Congratulations. Ben.
I just have one item today, very relevant given Ordinance 48, as it has to do with the Chief of Fire and EMS. Sign-ups for the promotional exam to be potentially the next chief started today, as well as sign-ups for battalion chief and captain promotional exams as well. And those will all be held. Captain and battalion chief. All three of those exams will be held later this June. The two chiefs exams, chief and battalion chief, are being given as a combined exam. They have the same study materials, so we didn't feel like making everybody sit through two tests on the same items. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Ben. Let's go to council reports. I'll start with Jamie, Ward 1.
All right, well,
I too was going to report on the 29th, being at the Little League opening ceremonies, and it was a rainy day. I was almost pressed in service to hold the mayor's umbrella, but you know, he was able to manage. But I was going to report on the first pitch, and I was going to say that, you know, I was trying to get a video of it, but the kids were just, they were all in there, so I did not see it. I can't substantiate his report. It was just a bit outside, but he didn't skip it in. So, and also I just wanted to welcome the new businesses to town. I think that's fantastic. Definitely looking forward to a slice of pizza because I've heard a lot about them. So, that's it.
All right, thank you, Gene. David, word to you.
Okay. Personnel and safety, congratulations to the finance department. Shows strong leadership and going above and beyond. And I think that's what the residents are used to in North Canton. The finance department is definitely there, so thank you for that. We do have a new employee, and Terry Gorski, North Canton Administration, has a new full-time administrative assistant. She comes to the city with a strong administration background, working for I-Centers of Ohio and Edward Jones, the North Canton branch office. So she'll be sitting at the front window desk in administration, so if you stop into the building, just definitely say hi to Terry. Also have a Sergeant Buzzard celebrating 11 years on the police force. What a great achievement there, and that also shows a testament to, you know, the longevity of our police and fire and the employees in the city. So congratulations, Sergeant Buzzard.
Cool. Word 3, Stephanie.
Congratulations to finance. That is a long-standing tradition to keep receiving that. But I'm excited about the budget one.
Me too.
Yeah. It's not surprising that you would want that. That's very impressive. And thanks for bringing Jim. I think that's important when you think about succession planning and just getting those different voices and experience here at our meetings. So thank you for doing that. And Mayor, I always love hearing all the things you do because it just shows your commitment not only to this community but to the county as a whole. And nobody can say there are not things to do in our community if you are so willing to look around and somebody support so many of our great nonprofits. That's very important to do that.
Thanks. Word 4, John.
Again, congratulations to the finance department. Mayor, thank you. You are definitely a working mayor. You're making your face out there known and stuff, so thank you very much. And no report tonight.
Daryl.
No report.
Okay. Christina.
Just like to thank North Canton Rotary. They went out and did a cleanup day at Rotary Park, so that was very cool. So thanks to them, and that is all.
I don't have much. A lot of events covered there. I'll just say Vine support local, and final call for a new business. Okay. Going on to the meeting calendar, the next meeting will be May 15th. Will be a committee of the whole meeting. What's that?
Do we?
15?
Yeah.
Yes, I have at least 2 items.
Okay.
May 22nd is a regular city council meeting, and May 29th there will be no meeting due to Memorial Day.
I would also like to say that the community survey begins May 15th. Everybody get ready, get pumped.
It's exciting.
We can do it while we're sitting here.
Yeah. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Adjourned.
Then help me with